What are the schools actually doing? The schools aren't teaching students very much of anything at all. Instead, they're pushing a radical ideology, especially this trans stuff. And we make fun of it. We make fun of the pronouns. We make fun of the crazy haircuts. But it's really, really harmful to students. There's a Florida father who was just testifying before the state surgeon general. He was describing how the school that his daughter attended secretly transed his daughter, and this secret transing of the daughter led the daughter to try to kill herself in the school.
In January of 2022, I went to my daughter's elementary school to deal with a very sensitive incident. My daughter attempted suicide by hanging in one of the school bathrooms. My wife and I were told that, by the school counselor that it happened because of an ongoing issue with her gender identity. We were in shock because our daughter never showed any signs of questioning her biological sex. We were told that they knew about the gender issue due to meetings they were having with our daughter behind our backs. We learned that during these meetings, our daughter's confusion was affirmed and validated through the use of fictitious male names and male pronouns. Our daughter was living a double life without our consent or knowledge.
This father's restraint is so admirable. Imagine, especially if you have kids. Even if you don't have kids, imagine you do have kids, but it's so clear if you do have kids. Your sweet little kid, apple of your eye, precious, you'd do anything. You'd throw yourself in front of a bus for this kid. You send this kid to a school that you pay for through your taxes, and you assume that you can trust the people at the school, the teachers and the administrators. And then the teachers and the administrators secretly fill your precious little kid's head with lies and fantasies and perverted delusions, and then your kid tries to kill herself. It would be very difficult to refrain from violence in that situation against the perverts and the psychos and the weirdos at the school who did that. It would be very hard. That father has such admirable restraint. That's what's going on in our schools. And this is happening in Florida. That's why Ron DeSantis has put out this mandate to the schools to say, look, no more of this. No more of the weird race education, but especially no more of the weird sex education up through grade 3. The only problem with what's going on in Florida is it doesn't go nearly far enough. We've got to kick this stuff out of the classrooms all the way up to grade 12, the weird transgender stuff. We just have to kick it out. And if teachers bring this up at all, fire them, maybe prosecute them. I don't want to sound hyperbolic here, but this is an actual existential threat to society if men and women don't know the difference between the two. All right, it is a severe threat to the entire society if this is what's going on in the education system. And so we have to take it very, very seriously. Meanwhile, the libs are crying and saying that Ron DeSantis is basically Mussolini. Forget Mussolini. He's Hitler. That's what they're saying, because he wants to limit the ability of these sickos in the guidance counselor offices and the administrative offices and the classrooms, for that matter, to trans your little daughter and your little son. What are people going to do about it? Ron DeSantis isn't even able to do all that much. This is still going on. DeSantis gives out his orders, and the teachers laugh, and the administrators laugh, and the state attorneys laugh, and they say, yeah, okay, the governor gave out his order, now let's see him enforce it. Text Knowles to 989898. The consumer price index has reached 40-year highs. The latest GDP numbers confirm the U.S. is in a recession, whether the administration wants to admit that or not. Now is not the time to have all your money in the stock market or tied to the U.S. dollar. Take action to protect your savings from a highly turbulent economy now by diversifying at least some of your investment portfolio into gold and silver from Birch Gold Group. Text Knowles to 989898. Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on how to transition an IRA or eligible 401k into an IRA in precious metals. Birch Gold will even help you hold gold in a tax-sheltered account. For decades, investors have relied on gold and silver as a hedge against inflation, you can too. They've got an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, countless 5-star reviews, and thousands of satisfied customers. So do it right now. Text Knowles to 989898. Get help from Birch Gold today. That is Knowles, Knowles, to 989898 to claim your free no-obligation info kit on how to protect your hard-earned savings with gold. Meghan Markle is launching a podcast. I'm not interested in this story because I'm interested in Meghan Markle. I'm not even interested in this story because I'm all that interested in podcasts. I'm interested in this story because I'm really interested in politics. And Meghan Markle's stupid new podcast tells you pretty much everything you need to know about how political power is exercised in this country.
People should expect the real me in this, and probably the me that they've never gotten to know, certainly not in the past few years, where everything is through the lens of the media, as opposed to, hey, it's me. I'm just excited to be myself and talk and be unfiltered, and yeah, it's fun.
I've said this before, I'll say it again. I'm calling for a complete and total shutdown of new podcasts until we figure out what the hell is going on. Too many people have podcasts. Look, I understand it's rich coming from me. I have 3 podcasts myself. Okay? I've got this show. I've got Verdict with Ted Cruz. I've got the book club. I'm on other podcasts actually too. I'm on Backstage. I get it, okay? But it's too much. Meghan Markle having a podcast, it's too much. And why does she have a podcast? This woman was Duchess of Sussex. This woman was actual royalty in the most prestigious royal family in the world. The last really even somewhat important royal family on earth. She wasn't even just a politician. She was even higher than a politician in public life. And she gave all that up to do a podcast. She gave up having an official role in politics to just kind of be in the media. There's a story that came out over the weekend. This is a story about me, actually, and some other people too. It's from Politico. It was a total hit piece on conservatives who have podcasts. It was called, "Wow, Politicians Are Really Bad at Podcasting." And none of these politicians are getting it right. And the story was largely about me and Senator Cruz because we have the most prominent politician podcast in the country. That's the Verdict podcast, which hit number 1 on the charts and stayed there for a long time, and it still is pretty high up on the charts most of the time. And this Politico guy hates the podcast, and he called me a right-wing gadfly, which I'll take as a badge of honor. I'd really be worried if a Politico reporter liked my podcast. That's how you know I'd have to hang it up and find a new job. But he was very upset. He was very bothered. He listened to lots of episodes of the show. He certainly didn't learn anything. But even granted all of that, the very fact that this article could be written, because it wasn't just about me and Ted Cruz, it was about all of the politicians who have podcasts as well. I think Senator Cruz and I had the first one, and then afterward it was just this cascade of politicians starting podcasts, sometimes with co-hosts like me, sometimes just on their own. They get a microphone, they record it. And so you had all these politicians making podcasts. And the fact that happened tells you a lot about our political order, which is that politicians are starting podcasts because there is essentially no difference between an elected politician and a media figure in terms of the actual political influence that they wield in the country. Now, obviously, if you're in the United States Senate, you do still have certain privileges that the bureaucracy and the deep state have not managed to take away from you. You can confirm judges. You can ratify treaties most of the time. But most of the political power of elected politicians has gone away. Even the U.S. Senate, which should be the most important deliberative body in the world, but certainly the U.S. House of Representatives, and certainly a lot of the state houses, and certainly a lot of the lower elected positions. That power has gone away to the deep state, to the bureaucracy, to the executive agencies, to the corporations through privatization, to the schools, to all the rest of it. The difference between a media figure and a politician Not so clear these days. In fact, the most important thing that most elected politicians do is go on TV. Well, it used to be go on TV. Now that TV doesn't matter as much anymore, it's that they go on podcasts. It's that they go on the internet. It's that they get the message out there. Most members of Congress are sort of glorified press secretaries. Or now maybe a little bit more so because they host their own shows and they get the message out there. But in terms of the real power that they wield, it's not very much. You compare your average member of Congress to your average career bureaucrat, the bureaucrat has way more power. To your average school administrator, that school administrator is going to have a whole lot more power. That's a political problem because the people still have some say with the elected representative. We don't have any say with those unelected bureaucrats who even the president can't really fire. I'm so glad you liked that clip. Now you got to subscribe. Ring that bell. We hit 1 million subscribers. Love that. We got to hit 1 billion. Head on over, ring that bell, get the notifications. We'll see you next time.